Hi, I'm Emily Yee, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I specialize in working with gifted teens and their families, but you could just say intense people too. And so today we're going to dive in a little bit into something that's cropped up again and again, especially with the adults that I work with. And it's this idea of dreaming about a slower life, but also feeling very ashamed of yourself because you aren't up to the task of being a great friend all the time, going and doing all the things. And so I just want you to think about that a little bit and how that applies to you if you find yourself canceling plans, craving quiet, not being able to return text messages for an extended period of time that you're not comfortable with, shutting down socially, any of these things. If you feel like that's nailing it for you, then this talk is going to be something that you might want to listen to. I definitely relate to this. I feel like I'm the one that shows up at the party. I want to get it started. I want to get everybody talking. And then I feel it set in. It's like I hit a brick wall and I just want to sneak out the back. And I don't have FOMO. I have, what do we call that? JOMO, joy of missing out. And so I love kind of talking to people about what if this isn't weakness? What if this isn't you being depressed or you being burnout? What if this is your body, your nervous system telling you who you are, and it's actually a strength that you can come in with a flash of energy, but then you need time to recover. And what would it be like to actually listen to that part of you? Many adults feel this pressure to be larger than life, to show up, to socialize, to host the parties, to be the best friend. And then when they can't hit that goal that they've set in their mind of who they think they should be, they feel like they've let themselves down or they let other people down. Your nervous system isn't asking for less life. It's asking for less overload. So pushing past that point when you know you don't have anything left to give and you're kind of robotic and showing up anyways, what if you didn't? What if you stopped there? How much more of a quality of an experience would you have if you were able to listen to that and to pause when you needed to? 1 in 5 people have heightened sensory sensitivity. And 2 out of every 5 people that are gifted have this sensory overload situation. When they're in a social situation, they're perceiving a lot more than the typical person would be. So if we think about it like a fuel tank of sensory capacity, somebody who's gifted is going to burn out quicker because they have so many more outlets to that fuel tank, because they have so many more senses that they're perceiving. So they're so much more sensitive to their environment. And so they're going to burn out more quickly. And if you're running your car on empty, you're going to feel burned out, even if it's not necessarily that you're depressed or anything's going on with you, but it's just that you need to rest. And if we honored that and refueled, then we could show up the next day and go at it again. So thinking about it like a tank and recognizing when your tank is empty and taking that time for yourself when you need to, without the shame, without, oh man, I wish my tank didn't run out so fast. Why am I not having it to give when I should be able to? And if we kind of reframe that and it's like, I'm a great friend over and above, truly, and then I run out of gas and I need to refuel. I'm just not made to do this paced titration of letting out energy and love and joy. It's going to come out quickly, and then I'm going to need to come back in and refuel. And the people that know you love you for that. And this is, I guess, a question of, can you love yourself for being the way that you are? So there is a new therapy concept out. I would say new. It's newer than a lot of the other ones. And it's called IFS. It means internal family systems. And it's this idea, I have these like finger puppets. Imagine there's little socks on my hands of these different parts that are talking to you. So little sock puppets that are talking to you about what to do in any given situation. And so thinking about them as the voices in your head, which is kind of crazy to think that everybody has all these voices, but we do. We have these countering arguments going on constantly. And the higher intelligence that you have, the faster your brain is operating, the faster those parts are talking at you. And being able to identify who's talking to you and why is important. So when we get this little voice in our ear of, oh my gosh, I do not want to respond to that text message, or I just don't even know what to say, type, delete, 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 going around and around. Or, man, that I don't know who took over my personality and committed to all of these things, but I do not want to do any of them. Or the voice in your head that's like, your bed sounds really nice right now, or you could just leave. And what is that voice doing? Are they trying to sabotage all your relationships? Are they telling you that you're a bad friend, or nobody wants you here? You're being awkward now, you should just go. Typically, these parts of us that are talking to you are trying to keep you safe in the best way that they know how. So if they're saying, alert, 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 you are out of gas, and if you stay here, you're going to end up saying something awkward, you're going to end up drinking too much, you're going to end up X, Y, and Z. They're saying, let's go, let's get out of here. And so what if we listened to that part that said, hey, it's time. I want to protect you. I want to keep you safe. I want you to get the rest that you need. Let's go on. But instead, there's this other part that shows up, and they start fighting, and you're right in the middle of it. And this other part says, you should stay here. You have an obligation. People are expecting things from you. They're going to have a bad time if you leave. And so then we have this battle. Well, maybe I should leave because I'm tired. No, you shouldn't, because that would be being a bad friend. And you're listening and being pulled apart in two different directions by these different parts of you. And this is what's interesting about therapy is I can't be the expert of you and of what your heart and your mind and all the parts of you are coming up with and what you need to do. Ultimately, you are the expert of you, and you know what's best for you to do. And sometimes it's a trial and error situation of, let's try listening to that part. Let's try listening to this part. What if we try talking to these parts and saying, hey, I know you're trying to protect me, and I will leave in the next hour. And to the other part, hey, I know you're trying to protect me and my relationships and my the perception that other people have of me, my reputation, but I need to listen to my body and not override it. And so affirming these different parts of you, that you are in charge and that you are paying attention, and they don't need to hijack your brain and hit the gas when really there's no gas left. And so having this conversation with yourself is something only you can do. I can aid it. I can create space for it. I can help you organize it. But then there's a listening that needs to happen within yourself to figure out what's the wise thing to do here. There's some common beliefs that I see a lot when I'm working with people in therapy that often stem from their childhood. And this is a foundation that I work off of attachment-based therapy, which is that from 0 to 5, you make these connections with your caregivers. You go through this boot camp, and these relationships that you build there and the patterns that you establish there affect you for the rest of your life. They can be relearned. You can go in and dismantle and rebuild, which takes a lot of work, but they show up. They show up in your intimate relationships and your friendships and your work relationships, and you see them as a pattern over and over again. So some of the ones that I see are adults that tend to shrink back. They want to stay away from the chaos that's happening around them. They might even be not participating in their own life. And so this is often a result of living in a lot of chaos around you, whether it's a parent that had mental illness, somebody who was chronically ill in your life, just poverty, moving around a lot, not having a stable foundation, having a sibling with a mental illness. There's so many things that could contribute to the feeling of chaos in your life. And as a result, you learned that if I stay to myself, I stay out of the fire. People admire me. People give me, love and affection for being the easy one and kind of being to myself. And I don't have to take any risks. And so you see this showing up in their adult life. Another one that you see a lot, or I see a lot, somebody who shows up larger than life beyond what their body is telling them that they can do. So I use the word masking for this. It's, hey, I'm going to be social and I'm going to be fun and I'm going to be friendly, even when everything in me says I don't want to be here right now and this isn't fun and I don't feel friendly. And this is often a result from a family that really pressured what it looks like on the outside versus tuning into who the child is on the inside. So it's that family that's, okay, you're going to give your grandparent a hug and a kiss and sit on their lap and spend an extended period of time at the dinner table having conversations. And not to say that any of that is bad or wrong, but when that is the family's priority over getting to know your individual child and really understanding them and what's going on their inside, their feelings, their thoughts, their personality, when the perception of others and the reputation of the family is prioritized over the connection with your child, then the child learns, okay, I need to look and do and be a certain way in order to be loved, in order to have security. And so you see this in adulthood of, I need to look and be and do a certain thing in order to maintain relationships. And it keeps them stuck in this very superficial position where they have to show up on all the time. They tend to cancel if they're not on or if they're not great, and not tell anybody about why, because even to themselves, there's a level of shame of them not being perfect and on all the time. Why am I exhausted? Why am I tired? Do I not have my life together? And nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants this part of me. So I'm just going to dip out and not really talk about it. And then a third common reality that I see happening for a lot of my clients is this internalized shame about needing to rest. And this might come from a childhood where they've been shamed for being needy, being too sensitive, being too slow to warm up, too slow to make friends, too shy, and always being told, come on, come on, come on, let's go, push through, we've got to do this. Your needs essentially don't matter, or they're too much, or they're ridiculous, they're dramatic. So you get this flood of information. And again, a little bit of pushing is not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing. You don't want to prevent your child from ever suffering, but you do want to see them. It's about the priority. Is the priority to be everywhere and do everything that you think should make them happy? Or is the priority seeing your child and equipping them to overcome things in their life that are difficult, including making new friends, or going out on the boat on a Saturday, or facing a thunderstorm, whatever it might be, going to school, going to church, these things that are difficult for them? Do you prioritize validating that it's difficult and supporting them through it? Or do you prioritize the event itself and therefore make the child feel like they're an inconvenience because they're struggling? And that feeling of inconvenience for struggling carries on into adulthood. And a lot of times that's the voice that's saying, you're just being a baby about this. You're just being selfish. You're just being too needy. And it keeps the adult from listening to their nervous system and how they were built, and respecting themselves and believing themselves and keeping themselves healthy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is this concept of connecting our thoughts with our behaviors, with our feelings. It's like a triangle, they're all connected. So if you think differently, you'll feel differently, you'll behave differently. And there's the reframe for this idea of, let me make my life smaller, is I'm failing, or the negative thought with that is I'm a failure, I'm too sensitive, I am lazy, I'm selfish. If we reframed that to smaller means safe, and if I can get to where I feel safe, I can heal and I can challenge myself in an amount that's not overwhelm, and I can grow to capacity that is good for me and the people that I love and that love me. And so saying that again, it's going from small means I'm failing or reducing the amount of overwhelm in my life is me being selfish. reframing that to reducing the amount of overwhelm in my life is me listening to my body and being safe, and then I can heal and grow and expand from there. And so if you've never done that, then you might not know if you truly love this big wild life, or if you're just doing it because you're masking. But when you step back from it and you are in this level of less activity and safety, then you really have a choice of, oh man, I do want to go do that thing. And I don't want to sit here and have this smaller life right now. It's like it's a choice that you're making instead of just a habit of masking and pushing through, never really knowing if you'd be happier with a much quieter existence. Some questions just to close out with is, how would your life be different tomorrow if you listened to your nervous system today? And what would you change about your routine if you were really being honest with what you needed in order to feel safe physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the things? Where is your body asking you to scale back? Might be coffee. It might be scrolling. It might be running and working out, eating. It might be people, just peopling, whether that's the surface level people on social media or the deep needs of people in your life that really should have a therapist. Maybe there needs to be some boundaries there. And just listening to your body of what would it look like, what's the level of scale back that you might be craving right now? And if you could just imagine for a second, considering that without feeling shame about everyone you'd be letting down, and just considering what you need just for a brief moment, and letting that sit with you and imagine what comes up if you suspend the shame for a moment. So thanks for hanging with me. These are just some common conversations that I have, and I want to put it out into the world a little bit of imagining a life without shame where you actually take care of yourself. What would that be like? Especially for my intense people that might have had a childhood where they were misunderstood. So if you'd like to hear more, you can find me at jacksonvillecreativetherapy.com, emilykateyee@gmail.com, and I'm on Instagram at Jacksonville Creative Therapy. So I'd love to chat with you, send me a message, give me a phone call, and I'll be around.